As Boston University students, we've seen firsthand the many dangers facing pedestrians on our urban Charles River campus. In an effort to combat these dangers, we made a PSA to show to our fellow Terriers to help them get to class safely.
We show different points at which they can practice good pedestrian safety, such as crossing the T tracks, crossing the street, and slipping on ice. We think that by juxtaposing these different situations and the ways in which you can act versus how we actually act, we can provide solutions and we can also show what people are actually doing.
To help make our advertisement or communication more effective, we also used 3 communication theories that we thought might help us connect with our target audience and better persuade them to do or act in safer ways.
The theories we used were social cognitive theory, cognitive dissonance theory, and the narrative paradigm.
We're going to explain a little bit about all 3 of those right now. The first theory that we used to help persuade our target audience of BU students was cognitive dissonance theory. We essentially wanted to point out the cognitive dissonance in their ways and make it easier for them to be persuaded to change their beliefs. Cognitive dissonance theory is often considered a post-decision theory, which means that, quote, individuals attempt to persuade themselves after a decision has been made or a course of action has been enacted that the decision or behavior was okay. That's from Gass and Sider in 2003. While this may seem true to the person who's experiencing this, it's not actually the case. For example, if someone's walking to class and looking at their phone as they cross the street, and they do so in a manner that doesn't result in them being hurt, they might think that that behavior was safe. This isn't actually the case, and that's just their cognitive dissonance acting up. What we're attempting to do with this ad was present the fact that this is not actually a safe behavior, and also give them options for making the behavior safe, so that in the future they can feel as though they're doing the right thing.
By doing so, we're exploiting the dissonance that happens in these pedestrians' minds, and so we actually provide actionable ways in which to change that and to actually practice true safety, and by doing so, we think that our PSA is effective.
The second theory that we applied to our video was social cognitive theory of mass communication, which posits that most human behavior is learned observationally through modeling. You learn much about social norms and acceptable behavior simply by taking note of what others do and the consequences in particular situations. We chose to reenact student pedestrian behaviors on Comm Ave in our video because part of the problem is that it's become a social norm to not pay attention and walk in front of traffic at BU. Since everyone does it, it seems like it is safe and acceptable to do. Although this isn't something that students consciously do, it is very prevalent across our campus, and we hope that through our video, we can shed light on the dangers of these pedestrian behaviors and portray safe practices for getting around BU.
In addition to observational learning, throughout our video, we chose to use a model of do and don't in order to show how our main characters utilize self-examination with their actions. Because the second assumption of social cognitive theory is one's ability to self-reflect, we chose to integrate multiple points of self-reflection. Specifically, according to the social cognitive theory, humans are not only actors but also self-examiners of their behavior. This metacognitive activity can be both rightful as well as faulty. In the video, the do and don't portions carry out this assumption because it demonstrates each character examining and acknowledging their behavior as right or wrong. The accurate choices in self-reflection of right and wrong is accomplished through the deductive reasoning process, the information showed and carried out in this scenario by the actors, and student understanding of their behavior. For instance, Morgan self-examines her behavior when she carelessly walks through ice and slips by holding the don't sign. Although she examines that her oblivious state was wrong, her action of holding up the don't affirms self-examination. On the other hand, she relives the situation, but instead, she minds where she is walking and is actively aware of her surroundings and utilizes the do sign to show her rightful safe practice. Overall, throughout each pedestrian safety scenario, each actor exemplifies social cognitive theory with self-reflection by manifesting and classifying their actions as do or don't.
The third theory we use is narrative paradigm. Narrative paradigm stresses the effectiveness of influence through narration, that is, persuasion through storytelling. Our video uses narrative paradigm to tell the stories of the many kinds of pedestrian accidents that can happen on campus, from students using their phones and not paying attention when crossing the street. The don't scenarios in our video show the accidents that could happen. Although they happen rarely, it's important to show these accidents to persuade students that they are real possibilities.
Narrative paradigm incorporates narrative rationality, which is defined as a logical method of reasoning by which a person can determine how believable another's narrative is. When the viewers of our video watch it and use narrative rationality to determine how believable it is, they'll find it believable because it's agreed upon by everyone to always be safe when they cross the street.
By bridging the disparity of cognitive dissonance in the minds of BU students and presenting new and safe alternative behavior, our video is able to positively persuade pedestrians to be more safe when walking on campus.
Social cognitive theory allows students to self-examine their past behavior and compare with new visual standards for pedestrian safety. By encasing the entire PSA in a narrative style, our communication effort was both persuasive and entertaining.